All right, so again, we are going to be reviewing this stuff. Let me see what this is saying. Okay, we're going to be reviewing this stuff in class. You guys should have it in paper. But for the most part, I'll do as much as I can for you guys, and then you guys are going to be responsible for some stuff at home. So, question number one, I already told you guys just when we were talking earlier, negative 3x minus 4x, all you have to write is negative 4x, and that's it, okay? You don't have to show me more work than that or anything like that. You don't have to draw a picture. Just give me the answer for that one. That's easy enough, okay? Question number two, you guys are going to have to distribute here, okay? So you're going to distribute that. You're going to distribute in here. So when you rewrite this, it's going to be a positive 3x minus 5 plus 60x minus 100. Okay? At this point, you get your like terms together. So 3x and 60x, these are like terms. So I'm going to put those together. So I get 63x. And then get your negative 5 and your negative 100 and combine those together. So negative 5 minus 100 is a negative 105. And that would be your answer for that problem. Okay, so 63x minus 105. Again, do you have to show that work that I did up there? Maybe not. Like me personally, I try to get my x's together first. So I'll say negative times a negative 3, that's 3x. The other one has a positive 60x, so I'll just write 63x right away. So I'm okay if you guys just go straight to answer on that one too. Okay, I know it can be done. Some things I know that I need more time. So if I need time, most likely you guys need some time with it too. So, all right. Solving each equation. So on number 3, you have to join your like terms together. Okay, so you're going to want to get your a and your plus 3a and put them together. So a plus 3a, that's 4a minus 4 equals negative 4. Now add 4. The 4 on the left side, you're going to want to add it to the right side. So we'll plus 4 on both sides. So that gives me 4a equals 0. And if you divide both sides by 4, you get that a is equal to 0. And that's all you have to do for that problem. Number 4, we're going to distribute. Okay, so distribute in. And again, if you guys are working way faster than I'm teaching, go for it. Okay, don't slow down because of me. If you just want to keep going, keep doing it. If you get to number 6 and you're like, I have no idea how we do that one, I'll get to it. Okay, and then you can write it down. So we're going to distribute. So this is going to give me negative 16 minus 20p is equal to 64. Now, I want to solve for p, so I'm going to get that negative 16 out of the way. So I'm going to add it to both sides. So plus 16, that's negative 20p equals to, that's 80, sorry. I was going to say 70, but 80. So if you divide both sides by negative 20, so that means p is equal to negative 4. So that would be number 4. Number 5, we're going to have to distribute again. Notice there's a lot of distribution in this test, okay? Because that should be a skill that you guys are good at. It shouldn't be anything that's really difficult to do. So to distribute the left side, we get 3b minus 15. And on the right side, we're going to get a positive 5 plus 5b. Now, me personally, I like to combine the letters first. Okay, so 3b and 5b, these are like terms. They're on opposite sides. So that means I'm going to have to subtract one or add one. But in my case, they're both positive, so I'm going to subtract. I always like subtracting the variable with the smallest constant. So 3b, I'm going to move that over. So minus 3b. So that gives me a negative 15 equals to 5 plus 2b. Now I'll subtract that 5 out of the way. So minus 5, that's a negative 20 equal to 2b. So in order to do this one, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. So that's going to give me a negative 10 equals to b. All right, so now we get to these absolute value functions. Now, if you guys remember, when we taught this to you guys a while back, absolute values always come with two solutions, right? A positive and a negative answer. So when you do this problem, you're going to break it up into two parts. You're going to get k plus 9 equal to a positive 2 and k plus 9 equal to a negative 2. And then you solve both of them. So the number on the right side, you always give yourself a positive and negative solution, okay? And the equal sign would just stay the same. If it was an inequality, the inequality would switch. But in our case, the equal sign just stays the same. So let's subtract 9 on both sides here. So I get k equals to negative 7. So that's one answer. And then I'll subtract 9 on the other side as well. So that gives me k equals to negative 11. So here's one of them, and here's the other one. So two different answers. And remember, you can always check your work by plugging it back in and seeing if it actually equals to a positive 2, which both of these will. Any questions so far? Hopefully this has been pretty easy to begin with, right? Now, if you look at number 7 and number 8, you're going to have to first simplify the problem. So I'm going to start with number 7. I'm going to start it off by subtracting 9 on both sides. Okay, so minus 9, minus 9. So I get negative 3, absolute value of r plus 6 equals to negative 12. Well, now I see that negative 3 in front of my absolute value, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So divide everything by negative 3. So I get the absolute value of r plus 6 is equal to a positive 4. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did in the previous problem. I notice that I have an absolute value, and it's equal to a number. So I just get to rewrite it as a positive and negative end solution. So that 4 is going to be a 4 and a negative 4 right now. Okay, so I'm going to write r plus 6 equals 4. Let me kind of create a little line here. So r plus 6 equals 4, and r plus 6 equals negative 4 as well. Now I'm going to kind of take this as a quick shortcut here. If I subtract 6 from both sides on the top equation, what do I get? R equal to, what is that? 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So that's one answer. And if I subtract 6 on the other one, what would I get? A negative 10. So R would be negative 10. Okay, so I get two solutions. And again, for number 8, I'm expecting to get two solutions as well. Okay, so let's go ahead, and for number 8, we're going to subtract 4 on both sides first. Let's get rid of the numbers that are just hanging out there. So I get the absolute value of m minus 3 is equal to 11. And now I'm going to rewrite this. So I'm going to write m minus 3 equals to positive 11, and m minus 3 equals to negative 11. I'll add 3 to both sides for both problems, and I'll get my solution. So let's add 3 here and add 3 there. So I get m equals to 14. And on the other side, I'm going to add 3 on both sides. So I get m equals to negative 8. Sorry, I put positive 8, but it should be a negative 8. So I get my two solutions right there. Again, this will be, I'm going to print this out. Eventually, it's going to become notes. So you guys can just, when I send you the email, you can just look at the notes so you can copy down the work. Or if for some reason you're having issues with maybe understanding what was happening, you can always watch the video again, okay, and see if that'll help. And if not, circle the problems, okay? Remember, whatever you don't understand, put a circle on the number so that you know this is the stuff I need to study, okay? Just because there's 77 problems doesn't mean that's how many problems you need to study. You might just need to study 25 of them. Maybe you just need to study 10 of them. Okay, it depends on how much you know. Okay, so we're just giving you enough information so that you can test yourself and find out, what do I know, what don't I know. All right, so number 9, we're going to notice that these are like terms right here. So b plus 2b, that's 3b, less than 12. Negative 12, I'm sorry. So now you're going to divide both sides by 3, and you should have your answer. So b is less than negative 4. And you're done. They don't need us to graph it or anything like that. By the way, they might have some problems like this soon. Okay, they are. Okay, so I won't graph it yet. But I was going to tell you, like, you may have to know how to graph these things, okay, on a number lines. But that's coming up soon. All right. For number 10, you could do one of two things. You could either distribute the negative 4 in, or you could divide everything by negative 4. Most people will distribute, so that's the way I'm going to do it. But there is a faster way, which is to divide by that negative 4. But let's go ahead and distribute. We get 60 greater than negative 16x plus 12. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. So minus 12 minus 12. If I subtract by a number that's negative on both sides, I do not change the signs. Okay, if I subtract or add, you don't change the inequality. Only if you multiply or divide. So 60 minus 12, that's 48. Greater than negative 16x. Now notice, I am going to have to divide both sides by a negative number. I'm changing the color just to kind of highlight that, okay? I'm dividing by a negative number on both sides, so that means the right side is just x, and the left side is a negative 4, but the symbol should no longer be greater than, it should be less than. Any questions on numbers 1 through 10? I mean, hopefully this is all just kind of like, oh, I remember this. This isn't that bad. So, I mean, if you look at number 77 and 76, those start to get a little hairy, right? They're more graphs and stuff like that. So we'll get to those.
Isn't it 3?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Negative 3. Thank you. See? See what I mean by in 18 years... there's been about 1 or 2 perfect scores. I mean, it's because you do little things like that where you're just thinking, you're like, oh, I got this, right? And you make a small mistake. I call them oops errors, but some people call them brain farts. Either way, mistakes, right? But yeah, little things like that. So thank you for the correction. I'm going to claim that I did that on purpose just to see if you guys were listening, since I'm being recorded. But honestly, I made a mistake. Here we go. Number 11. So notice this one says solve each inequality and graph its solution, okay? So this one looks like it's a lot of work, but I'm sure we can combine it nicely. But we're going to have to graph its answer later, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute, okay? So we're going to distribute in this way and that way. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put negative 37 greater than or equal to negative 3n minus 3 minus 8 plus 16n. And by the way, guys, thankfully that mistake did occur. If I make another mistake and you see it, stop me like as soon as possible. That way I don't do like 5 minutes of work and then, oh, I got to erase everything, right? Yeah, as soon as you notice something, let me know. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it's a mistake on the other side, but still, let's always make sure, just double check it. So negative 3n minus 3 minus 8 plus 16n. Let's combine like terms. So I'm going to combine the minus 3n and the plus 16n first. And then I'm also going to combine the negative 3 with the negative 8, okay, on that side. So I'm going to write negative 37 is greater than or equal to 13n, because negative 3 plus 16 is 13, minus 11. Now I'm going to add 11 to both sides. Okay, so add 11 to both sides. So that's going to give me, let me take the work over here, a negative 26 greater than or equal to a 13n. Now at this point, I'm going to divide both sides by 13. Notice I'm dividing by a positive number, so therefore no switch in symbol is going to happen for the inequality. This will be a negative 2 greater than or equal to n. Now, a lot of teachers teach you to follow the arrow. So in other words, negative 2 greater than or equal to, I'm going to go to negative 2 and put a dot right there, nice heavy dot. And then a lot of teachers will say follow the arrow. So you're going to draw it going to the right. But remember, you only follow the arrow if the variable's on the left side. If the variable's on the right side, go the opposite way. So notice how, what I'm talking about by the arrow, I'm talking about this arrow right here. You see how it's pointing to the right? So since the variable is on the right side, then go left. Okay, you always do the opposite if the variable is on the right side. Now, if this was, let's say n, whoops. Let's pretend it was like n greater than or equal to negative 2. Then you go to the right because the variable is on the left side. Okay? But if the variable is on the right side, you have to go the opposite direction. So that means this is going to go this way. All right? And that's what it's going to look like when you draw your answer. So let's see. Let me just highlight that solution here. And then we'll move on. All right, some true and false questions. True or false? A horizontal line has undefined slope. What do you guys think? True or false? True. That is actually a false. What slope does it have? Horizontal line. Anybody know? A flat line. It's a 0. What kind of line has an undefined slope? It's a vertical line. Okay, so you might want to put that in notes for yourself, right? Vertical line's undefined. Horizontal line, 0. Okay. Number 13, the line x equal to 3 is a vertical line. X equal to 3. I mean, 3 is right here. If I draw it, x equal to 3 looks like this. So x equal to 3 is a vertical line? True. Remember, x values are always vertical. Y values are horizontal. Okay? So, but yeah, that's going to be a true statement. Okay? Now, number 14, the slope of the line passing through those 2 points is negative 4 over 7. The only way I can figure this out is to do the work. So let's see. I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1, and this will be x sub 2, y sub 2. I'm going to use the slope formula. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1, 6 minus negative 2, divided by x sub 2, which is negative 4, minus x sub 1, which is 10. So 6 minus a negative 2, that's 8. Negative 4 minus 10, that's negative 14. If I reduce that by 2, I get negative 4 over 7. So true or false? This is a true. Okay, let me write x equal 3 here. But yeah, that would be a true. All right, number 15. From the line 2x minus 2y equal 12, the x-intercept is 6, 0. Remember, to find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0. If you want to find the y-intercept, you set x equal to 0. But to find the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0. So that's 2x minus 2 times 0 equals 12. Well, that goes away, 2 times 0. So 2x equals 12. So that means x must be 6, right? So the point is 6, 0, which is the correct answer, right? 6, 0. So this is a true. Okay, so we have so far false, and then true, and then another true. That didn't come out. And the last one is also a true. Are we okay with 12 to 15? Any questions? All right, let me erase that box on that true because I made that one a little too big there. All right. Parallel lines always have the same slope. True or false? True, right? That's true. What's the name of the lines that have opposite reciprocal slopes? You guys remember? If the slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other, that means that they are what kind of lines? Perpendicular, okay? So you might want to write that down in your notes. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. I always say flip it and switch it, right? But opposite reciprocals. All right, number 17. Let me just check time here. 17, the lines y equals 3x plus 5 and 3x plus y equals 12 are perpendicular. So let's see. Y equals 3x plus 5 has a slope of 3, right? mx plus b, right? So slope is 3. 3x plus y equals 12. I need to solve for y, so let me subtract 3x. So that's y equals negative 3x plus 12. The slope on this one is negative 3. So is negative 3 the opposite of 3? Yeah, right? It's the opposite sign. Is it the reciprocal of 3? No, the reciprocal of 3 is 1 over 3. So if this answer would have been negative 1/3, then it would be true. But this answer is false. Okay? This is not a true statement. This is a false statement. Because if your slope is 3, then the opposite reciprocal of 3 is negative 1/3. All right, let's graph this next one. Notice this is a compound inequality, okay? So I'll show you guys the easiest way to do this. Let me just write it down here. So let's just pretend we're trying to solve for b, right? So notice how in the middle it says 4 minus 10b. I want to get rid of that 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the 4. But I have to do that to all the sides. Okay, on the left side, on the right side, and in the middle. So it's going to cancel here. Negative 86 minus 4 is negative 90, less than or equal to negative 10b, less than or equal to negative 50. Now, what do I do to solve for b? I divide by what? by negative 10. So let's divide this by negative 10. I also got to divide everything else by negative 10. Negative. So that means I got to switch all the signs. Okay? So in this case, we get negative 90 divided by negative 10. That's 9. Greater than or equal to b. Greater than or equal to, what is that? 5. Okay? So notice b is stuck between 5 and 9. You guys see that? All right, so I'm going to go right here. Here's 5. Here's 9. And your answer is found in between there. From 5 to 9. I know it doesn't look like that in the answer, but notice if you kind of flip all the numbers around and all the signs, this is basically what it looks like. Was one of them less than? Oh, one of them is less than? I didn't see that. I saw less than or equal to. So let me see. Let's figure. That's the left side, right? So it should be less than. So less than. It should be like that. Okay. So yeah, the 9 should be open circle. Thank you for that, Shania. So there we go. Open circle. I was looking up in the board when I was writing this out, so I thought I saw 2 less than or equal to's. So that's why I wrote them down. So there's your solution for something like that. Notice they're compound, okay? Usually whenever you see these things and they're compound, mean they're all put together. That means usually that the lines and the dots are going to connect, okay? So that's how you kind of know these are going to connect together. All right, so let's see. We got like 10 minutes. I'm not going to go all 10 minutes. Let's just try to get to 20, okay? And then maybe I can go to 21. But all right, number 19. So I have 2 different problems. X over 10 greater than or equal to 1. Then it says or 5 plus x less than 2. I'm just writing this out for my own good here. So to solve x over 10 greater than or equal to 1, I'm going to multiply by 10. Okay, I'm going to move that 10 over here by multiplying it. So x greater than or equal to 10. Or, and then this one I'm going to subtract both sides by 5. So I get x less than negative 3. So let's go ahead and graph this. X greater than or equal to 10. So here's 10. Greater than or equal to means solid dot. It's pointing to the right. So I'm going right. And then the other one says x less than negative 3. So I'm going to find negative 3. That's about right in between negative 4 and negative 2. So I'm going to put an open circle there. And it's pointing to the left. So I'm going to go left side. And there's my solution for that one. So for number 20, okay, I noticed there's an absolute value again. We did some of these earlier, but this has inequality. So this is what you have to do. You're going to do the same thing you did the first time. B over 3, and then just copy it straight. So less than 5. So you're going to copy it just like we did the first time, just that it was equal sign. But the second equation, b over 3, remember we changed the number to the opposite sign? You also have to flip the sign, so it has to be greater than. Okay? If you guys remember, this symbol, I'm highlighting it right now, if it points to the inequality, it means and. Okay? So that means your answer should be connecting. Okay, really quick, let's look at 21. If I subtract 4 from both sides, I just want to do this really quick for us. Absolute value of n greater than or equal to 3. Notice how this points away from the inequality. That means this is an or problem. That means they should be going in opposite directions. All right, so let's go ahead and continue with the problem we were doing originally. I'm going to multiply by 3, okay? So that's b less than 15. And then this other one will be b greater than negative 15. So they want me to graph this. I'm going to make a sloppy graph, but it'll do what it needs to do. Here's 0. Here's negative 15. And here's 15. I'm going to draw with the blue color. So notice they say B has to be less than 15. So less than means I'm going to travel this way. Okay? And then the other one says B has to be greater than negative 15. So I'm going to leave an open circle at negative 15 and go to the right. And you'll see that they connect. So that's what it looks like. Okay, this is an AND problem, so they join together. Now the other one is an OR problem, so let me go ahead and split this up into two smaller problems. I'm going to put n greater than or equal to 3, and then the other one will be n less than or equal to negative 3. Notice I don't actually have to do much work because it's already solved, but I do have to graph this, so let's go ahead and graph it. So here's 0, 3, and negative 3. So notice for you guys, since this is going to be multiple choice, they're going to give you the answer and the graphs together. So you got to pick both that are correct, right? The answer and the graph should match. So since it says the first one, n greater than or equal to, I'm going to put a solid dot at 3, and then it's pointing to the right, so I'm going to go to the right. And the other one says n less than or equal to negative 3, so solid dot at negative 3, and it should go to the left. Okay, so we did 21 problems. I'm going to stop right there.